Okay, we're downloading A-Game's formula.
3, 2, 1.
What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. Shout out to everybody who support the platform. Much love, much love. Salute to everybody that's in the building right now. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share today's show. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share today's show. Share it on your community tab, your Discord servers, anywhere that you share videos. Make sure you share the show, man. It's very much appreciated. Shout out to everybody. Salute to all of the visionaries out there. Salute to all of the visionaries. Shout out to the A-Game Nation. We are back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'm your host, DS1 Ross, of course. Make sure y'all check out my pre-recorded video that I dropped a few hours ago. It's extremely important that you guys go and check that out because it is something that's going on right now in the NFL. And it's been going on for some years, but it's a travesty, man. And of course, wherever there's tragedy and travesty, you can always find black men for some strange reason, where we're either involved some way, somehow, man. So make sure y'all go and check that out right now. Y'all can easily access that video by going to the videos and clicking your latest video that you see there. So I appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody once again. Make sure y'all go and check out part 1 of this video, because today we will be going into part 2, because of course, I planned, I overplanned, and we end up going over time yesterday. So you guys asked for part 2. So here's part 2 today. But before we get into it, I want to shout out everyone who's here, everyone who's in the chat so far. Shout out to my brother Walt Diddy in the building. Salute, salute, salute. Shout out, shout out, shout out. And I want to do a quick recap before we get into part 2 of today's show. Like I said, make sure y'all like and share the show. Make sure y'all like and share the show. So yesterday, which is part 1, y'all can go and check that out. These things should matter to black men. The things that should matter to black men. Make sure y'all go and check out part 1. In part 1, we went over standing on the truth. That is the first thing we went over. Then we went into health and wellness. And this is why it's important you go and check out my pre-recorded video, because it ties into health and wellness, dealing with black men. Also, we spoke about legacy and the importance of it, and the importance of legacy. Now, today on part 2, we will be starting out with understanding to run your own race. Run your own race. It's important that brothers understand that they run their own race. And it's important that brothers understand to run their own race. Understand that it is actually the competition is not me versus you. It's you versus you and me versus me. See, it's very important that we understand this today, because if we just understand this mere little thing, man, a lot more things can be done on a collective level between brothers. If you understand that it's not about me versus you. The real war is you versus you. It's you fighting yourself. It's me fighting myself. It's me understanding that when I'm fighting you, I'm fighting me. When I'm fighting you, I'm destroying myself. When you're fighting me, you're destroying yourself. It's the same thing. You see? And when you look at every situation, when black men are going at each other for some strange reason, no one wins in the end. No one wins. For some strange reason, no one wins. And it is because over time, we forgot this concept of just simply run your own race. Know your role, play your role, and be effective at what you do. It's not about you being better than no one else. It's not about me showing another brother up. It's not about that. It's about you being effective at what you do. See, because that is how a system works. A system doesn't work with men stepping on each other's toes. That's not how it works. The system doesn't work with one person being the head honcho. That's not how a system works. A system is a bunch of parts that come together and work in unison. And over time, black men have forgotten that. You see, this is why we were able to establish powerful black communities like Black Wall Street, like Tulsa, like Rosewood, and so on and so forth. Wilmington, North Carolina, and so on and so forth. Those things were able to be created because the men understood to run their own race. The men weren't trying to step on each other. The men weren't trying to get in the way of each other. The men weren't trying to show each other up. The men were simply doing what they were doing and executing. And they brought their resources and their network of people together. Because they understood that it's not me versus you. You see? Because they understood that if you want to go against me, it got to be something wrong with you. Because if you understood that me and you both have a common opposition, then why would me and you go against each other? How would that work for either one of us? How would that work for either one of our families? You see? So those brothers understood that It's you versus yourself. The biggest person that you got to defeat is you. And this is why here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, I tell brothers we got to heal. We got to heal before we build, brothers. Before we sit back and try to build with each other and go into business and do all that, man, there's a certain level of healing black men got to go through. You see? And when you decide to begin to walk down that path and to take that journey in your life, you understand that it's you versus you. The problem was never somebody outside of you. The things that happened to you in your life that you used as anchors to hold you back was you. It was no one else. It was you. Of course, you have outside things, but instead of you using those things as motivation to get you out of your situation, you use them as crutches. And brothers just have to get to a point where they can admit that. Some brothers, it may take longer than others, but you have to get to that point because you have to understand that you got to run your own race. You're not in this to compete with other brothers. You're wasting your time doing that. Dudes that are running around still thinking that we're in this to compete with each other are crash dummies. They're crash dummies. They're crash dummies. Especially if you're talking about changing things, that's never going to work for black men. We got to run our own race. We have to run our own race, brothers, because if we don't, we're going to keep driving ourselves right into the wall. When two black men start the rivaling and the beefing and all of that, they both lose. They both lose. Somebody go to jail, somebody go to the funeral home. They both go to jail. They both go to the funeral home. They both lose money. And then they both add to the negative stereotypes that they're going to put out in the media to blast across the world about black men's image. So we lose all around the board when we think that it's me versus you. Black men lose on a micro level and a macro level. Understand that, brothers. We lose on a small level, meaning that isolated situation, those brothers lose. They lose. But then that situation then turns into a news story, which then goes to the media and goes out to the world about how black men deal with one another. So then that ties into our appearance and how people see us everywhere else. So black men lose on all levels when we don't understand that we got to run our own race. Every man should understand their prospective place and what they're good at and just do that. And just do that. Just do that. The ones who are good at what they do, they should network and link up with other guys who are good at what they do and collab. If the collaboration won't work, brothers stay in their prospective lanes and keep working. But the other shit is detrimental to all of us. It's detrimental to us as brothers. And we really have to understand this. So running our own race has to matter to us. Us knowing our prospective roles and playing them. There's no reason to step on toes. There's no reason. The next thing, we need to begin to educate ourselves. Educate ourselves. Now, I know a lot of us may be saying, well, DS1, man, I can't go back to school, man. Nah. Listen, brothers. Listen. With how technology is today, there's no reason for us to not know the prospective things that we need to know or that we want to know to progress in life. It's right here on a computer. We have to stop using technology as a weapon against ourselves. See, this is what they got black men to do with everything around them. They've gotten black men by using the lost value system to take everything around them and to weaponize it against each other and against ourselves. So we even do this with the internet. We don't use the internet to actually go back to school and learn things. Go and sharpen up our skills on certain things. We don't use it for that. We don't use it for research purposes. We use it for what they want us to use it for, which is to destroy each other. We should be using technology to educate ourselves to become better at what we do. Better at what you do at your job, better what you do at home, better what you do at your business. See, because education is not you just being educated on what's going on in the world, but education is for yourself. See, I tell my sons this all the time. You're not going to school for me. You're going to school for yourself. Because going to school will benefit you. Because you need to learn things in life about what's going on in the world, and that will help you learn things about yourself and how you will operate in the world. See, today, they got black men so caught up on chasing money that we're not educating ourselves. And we're forgetting that the key to making more money is education. Us learning more. Because when you know more, you could do more. If you knew better, you do better. You ever heard that? If you know more, you can do more. If you know more, you can earn more. You see? And we need to begin to learn more about business and finance. We need to learn how money works instead of just chasing the money and getting the money, but learn what to do with the money. The internet is here for this. The internet is here for this. The internet is not here for you to show off your money. You should actually be using the internet to get more money, to learn how to get more money, to learn what to do with your money. You see? And this is what brothers need to be educating themselves on. Because at the end of the day, When this pandemic shit hit, brothers could get up here and cap all they want, but it was hard for a lot of brothers. All you had to do was go outside your door. That's all you had to do. We're not talking about here on the internet. We're talking about in real life. And we talking about brothers who got up and went to work every day. We're not talking about the dude who never had a job, the dude who was never getting no money or never trying to do anything. We're talking about the everyday civilian who lost their jobs due to the pandemic. But they always say a job is just over broke. And it's because why? Black men are not financially literate. We get a whole bunch of money, but just a pandemic could happen and we could go back to having nothing. Do y'all know how long the soup kitchens and the pantry lines were with people who had careers who was making $70,000-$80,000 a year? And this is because of the lack of financial literacy, not being financially educated, making money, living your life, but not knowing how to do it in a strategic fashion. You see? And just me, getting into finance 101, the first thing they always say is not about what you make, it's about what you keep. That's the first thing they say. It's not about how much money you make in life, it's about how much money you keep. If you learn how to save money and invest your money, you'll always have money. Just because you make a lot of money and you have a whole lot of money to spend, that doesn't make you financially literate, nor will that make you financially secure for the rest of your life. And we saw this happen to a lot of brothers when the pandemic hit. We saw this happen to a lot of brothers when the recession hit back in 2007. Because we lack financial literacy. And that's due to having an impoverished mindset, having a broken mentality. So we think, okay, I make 6 figures a year. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. But then how does you making 6 figures a year actually benefit you and your family? See, financial literacy teaches you to maximize those things, no matter how much money you making. And this is what we need to get into. This is what we need to be focusing on, getting into the education side of things. See, us getting into this internet shit, a lot of us neglected education. You see? But see, when you want to start expanding on what you're doing, you got to start educating yourself on what it is that you want to do. You see, brothers? Do not let this YouTube and the social media and all of this interaction and talking to people make you forget that you still have to educate yourself. You have to actually still take time to learn. You see? Never stop learning. You should learn something new every day, like they always say, right? But the thing you should learn should help you. And financial literacy is something we all need to learn because we all chasing a bag, right? We all trying to get money, right? So we need to know what it is that we need to do with our money and what we don't need to be doing with our money. The next thing we need to be educating ourselves on is agriculture. Agriculture. Shout out to everybody in the chat. But agriculture, we need to begin to educate ourselves on growing stuff, brothers. We need to go and learn. If you got the time and the money, go take an agricultural course. Go get hands-on where you could get your hands in some dirt and learn how to grow stuff. This is important nowadays. Why? Because we're just coming off of a pandemic where shelves were empty. You're starting to see shelves emptying again. Food shortages. You see, brothers? And if you don't want to take the course and you got a woman at home, won't you pay for her to take the course? But you need to educate yourself on agriculture because we're going to have to know how to feed ourselves and our families. Who knows what may happen in society? See, listen, we have to stop, or we have to begin, because I can't tell brothers to just stop doing something, because a lot of brothers, what I'm learning is a lot of brothers depend on, they depend on the system. You see, and you could depend on the system in more than one way of you getting welfare and all. No. A lot of you brothers depend on the system making sure that your ass got food in the supermarket. See, you depend on the system to do that. You may not depend on them to give you some money, but you depend on them to make sure you got fresh water, that you have a certain standard of food for you and your family to eat. See, you depend on the government to do that too. And brothers, with this pandemic, we should see that we can't even depend on them for any of that. So we have to get prepared. So we got to go back to what? To the basics, education, learning the fundamentals. Learning the fundamentals. Black men, you should know how to cook. You should know how to cook too. Should know how to cook, man. We got to learn how to grow food. We have to, because we can't depend on said government to make sure of it. And if we're going to leave it up to them, then we're left to deal with whatever they give us. You see? And who knows what they're giving us, man? Who knows? So we got to get back into learning how to grow food, how to grow other things too that we can use for our own benefit. Because if anything was to happen, what are you going to do, brothers? What are you going to do? See, the worst thing we could do is to not be prepared. That's the worst thing, to not be prepared. to not be ready. You sitting back watching the news, waiting for what the government gonna do. No, you got to be prepared, man. We got to be prepared. And if you learn how to grow, I mean, come on, we can start community gardens. We could start community gardens. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. Me and him talk about that a lot. And not only can you then, you can start maybe selling produce, and that could be another business, but you're also eating healthy. See, brothers? When they say survival of the fittest, you have to understand what they mean. When they say survival of the fittest, they're talking about your health and your wellness. Survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. That's mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy, fit. Now, you may be physically fit, but if you're eating a bunch of bad food that this government is giving you, it's going to break you down mentally, and then it's going to break down your body. But if you know how to grow your own food because you're educated, you learned how to grow food. Your lady learned how to grow food. Your wife learned how to grow food. You're teaching your children how to grow food. Now you're actually teaching your children how to survive. See, I know a lot of us may have been thinking that we've been teaching our children how to survive, but we haven't. We've been teaching our children how to remain alive, to live off the system, to stay dependent on the system. That's what we've been teaching them. You see, that's what we've really been teaching them. Because we're not educating them on business and finance. We're not educating them on agriculture. So they can feed themselves. And we're damn sure not educating them on technology, because we're allowing them to use the technology as a weapon against themselves, because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. You hear people every day get up here and say YouTube is a business. YouTube is a business. YouTube is a business, right? But instead of them having the business mindset with doing YouTube, you then take the nigga approach, which is not business. Which is not business. And this is how we become victims. And this is why we always end up having to work for someone else's business. Or somebody has to come in and run your business for you. You see? Because you don't want to educate yourself. Education is part of personal development. You become better the more educated you are. You become stronger. You become more proficient in things when you become educated. You become more resourceful when you're more educated. But we take technology and what do? We use it like kids. And it's embarrassing that black men use YouTube for this shit. It's embarrassing that black men use Instagram to flex and catch cases and shit. That's what we use Twitter for. That's what we use all these things for. Instead of understanding that these things are platforms to actually launch your ideas. That's what this is about. Because if you educate yourself on what YouTube is, if you educate yourself on what Instagram is and all of this stuff, that's what it is. But we use it all for the wrong shit because at the end of the day, we value all the wrong shit. And when you value all the wrong shit, you're going to do what you value. You're going to prioritize what you value. You see? In the lost value system, you prioritize everything else over what's important. The things that's important first. Your priorities are backwards. Your values are backwards. You see? And we show this with the way we use technology. With the way we use this stuff, man. We need to educate ourselves more on how we can maximize our opportunity using technology, using these apps. We should not be using this shit to destroy one another. That's not what this is for. That's not what it's for, man. Because all it does is it shows the lack of education that we have. It shows just how much we don't know. That's what it shows. And it shows that education is not important to Black men. And education is supposed to be one of the pillars of a Black man's life. We should never stop wanting to learn. Not ever. Not ever. Because when you stop learning, you stop growing. When you stop growing, you know what that means. So the final thing that should matter to Black men today is self-defense. 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 Brothers, self-defense is one of the things that we do not formally understand, that we need to educate ourselves on, that we need to get fully involved in. We're not talking about your normal throw your hands up and fight. We're talking about actually getting into a specific discipline, understanding how to use certain weapons, what they're for, taking the proper classes and everything. Because self-defense is important. Because when we're talking about the 4 P's of a man, protection, it includes shielding from harm by confronting danger, but also in the form of very structures he creates or provides that covers in his physical absence. You see? So when we learn about self-defense, when it's properly learned and properly applied, you don't always have to be present to physically defend. There's certain things that you can set up with your family, where not only do Do they know how to defend themselves personally? But there's certain little things set up with y'all to alert you or even the police for that matter. See, we have to understand, brothers, as we become older, we have to get more in depth into things. Because see, for the most part, when you in school, they just pretty much brush through everything. But as you get older, you have to begin to understand the details, understand the mechanics and the actual processes behind how things work. You see? So you can protect and problem solve properly. You see? Because you don't want to be the type, you don't want to have the type of house that's always getting broken into. You see, brothers? So we have to understand how to properly do these things. And this come with educating ourselves on self-defense. Part of self-defense is also health. So this is why brothers have to stay at a certain level of health if you're gonna be able to defend yourself. And like I said, we're not just talking about your normal street fight where you throw your hands up for 45 seconds, maybe a minute the longest. You see? As we know nowadays, most dudes are not fighting. Most dudes are not fighting. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for a situation like that if you're out with your family? See, we got to think about this. And we have to be prepared for it. See, these are the things that should matter. All this other shit that we focus on, that we give a bunch of time to, and it's irrelevant. You see, us sitting around talking about women all day, that shit ain't gonna matter. You know why? Because a woman is gonna expect you to know how to protect her. She's gonna expect you to know how to protect her. She's gonna expect you to know how to protect yourself. She's gonna expect you to know how to fire that pistol. She's gonna expect you to know this. She's not gonna wait for you to learn when it's time for action. She's going to expect you to confront danger. And you have to know how to do it. See, a lot of you brothers on here, y'all talk about shit, but I could tell y'all haven't been in certain situations. Your woman don't even know you for getting into certain situations. See, you got to be prepared for this stuff. You got to be prepared. You got to know what to do. You got to practice. This is what brothers should be getting together and doing. Going to the range, going to tactical courses. And we learning how to do this stuff. Because it's real out here. It's easy to get up here and talk fly. You see? It's easy to try to scare someone off with your mouth. But what happens when that barking don't scare nobody? What happens? You got to think about this, fellas. You have to be prepared for this, fellas. Dudes got a habit on here telling dudes to pull up wherever they at. What happens when a dude really pull up, though? Are you prepared? Got to think about this stuff, fellas. This is the shit that should matter. Not all of this other stuff, man. As I spoke on earlier, it's black men out here still dying from. We just had 2 NFL players die from mental disease, CTE. And we still out here worrying about what? Come on, man. This is the stuff that should matter, man. The other conversation, that's for YouTube purposes only. And when you come to Sheep Stay Sleep TV, we don't have YouTube conversations. Understand that. Everybody else could do what they want to do on their channels. Do what you do. Much success to you. But over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, we don't have the YouTube conversation. We don't. We don't have the conversation on for YouTube's sake, for the YouTube niggas. We don't do that. Because over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, the visionaries and everyone who support me, they're living a real life. They're going through shit in real time. And I expect that type of support. See, over here, this is not the peanut gallery. Because the shit that go on in the peanut gallery doesn't matter. It does not matter. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. It don't fix shit. It's just a bunch of nothing. It's just some shit that you listen to whenever in your pastime. The shit is background noise, really. That's really what it is. It's background noise. You got rich black men out here dying after their careers. That shit is just getting swept under the rug. Because we so busy talking about what's going on in O Block. We so busy worrying about if she gonna submit or not. We still talking about that shit. Instead of talking about these black men who just died at the behest of the NFL. And the NFL ain't even going to be responsible for it. And this shit been going on for years. See, over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, we're just going to continue to speak on the current state of black men. And how and what we can do to help each other. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to continue to do over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Like we've been doing, man. And I appreciate all the love and all the support from everyone. Because at the end of the day, that's we need the support. Black men need that support. We do. Whether it's coming from each other, any women that want to help and support us, anyway, man. But we really have to understand, man. When we say we're our own agency, the way we provide agency is through our teachings, which I hear me speak about here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, products and services. We have a product that I promote here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, A-Game, which is a male herbal solution. It's right here. Right here for you guys. It's a product that provides agency to our health. Why? Because health and wellness ties into what? Self-defense. So we're going to just continue to keep having a real conversation over here, man. Everybody else, just let them do what they do. Because this is why you're tuned into Sheep Stay Sleep TV. We allow the sheep to stay asleep. Understand that, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I appreciate everyone for coming through. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the show. If you appreciated today's show, donate to the show. Cash App, $ Sheep Stay Sleep TV is where you can go. Cash App, $ Sheep Stay Sleep TV is where you can go. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Shout out to all of the visionaries. Shout out to all of the visionaries. Shout out to the A-Game Nation for coming through and showing some support, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone who supports Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And of course, I'm your host, DS1 Ross, of course. And I'm going to catch you brothers on the next one. But before we get up out of here, remember, brothers, we are our own agency. We are our own agency. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
This show is sponsored, and this channel is sponsored by A-Game, a male herbal solution. A male herbal solution. Fellas, get down in the description box and join this A-Game lifestyle. This is a lifestyle promoting optimal health for us men. It's a lifestyle that promotes optimal health for us men. It is for our energy. It is for our vitality. It is for our strength. And it is for our libido. Fellas, join this A-Game lifestyle simply by clicking the link in the description box. And at your checkout, type in the promo code SHEEP and the number 10. That's SHEEP and the number 10. Get a discount off on your purchase.